the far side of the moon, alien bases, or an ancient astronaut's cemetery. The moon is a satellite of Earth and the only known astronomical object for today where a person's foot has stepped. The mysterious moon is fraught with many mysteries and incredible theories and hypotheses. When we look at the moon, we always see one side, the same side, about 60% of its surface. Although the planet rotates on its own axis, this feature of our satellite is due to the fact that the rotation of the moon around our planet and around its own axis is synchronized. This is another mystery of our neighborhood. Often the invisible part of the moon is referred to as the far side of the moon or the dark side of the moon, although the dark side is certainly a metaphor rather than a reflection of reality, since on average the dark side of the moon receives as much light as the visible part of the moon that we see. And yet it really is the dark side of the moon, a territory that has not been visible to humanity for many hundreds of years. So what can happen there? What is hiding in invisibility? According to conversations in certain circles, there is no better place for aliens to deploy bases secret from us. A bit of history. Little by little, the mystery of the dark side of the moon began to lose its enigma in 1959 when the automatic satellite of USSR Luna 3 circled the moon, photographing its invisible region, the far side. Of course, the first images were rough and of poor quality, but they were able to show lifeless deserts in crater pot marks as well as on the side of the facing us. Subsequently, flights by robotic explorers such as Lunar Orbiter 4 were able to provide more detailed images of the moon's invisible region by 1967. A year later, Apollo 8 astronauts, Frank Borman, James Lovell, and Willie Manders, flying around the moon in preparation for Apollo 11 mission, examined the far side of the moon through the eyes of a man. Official reports about the expedition are uninteresting and dry. A dead planet whose surface has been plowed by asteroids for billions of years. Television broadcasts by crew from the moon also showed the gray surface of the planet. Is that this mysterious phrase that flew from the ship to Earth confirmation that Santa Claus exists? Allegedly, this is the UFO code designation adopted by NASA. Today, many photographs show details of the invisible side of the moon, the far side, and topographic maps have been compiled showing the main features of this area. It would seem that in our time, the dark side of the moon has lost a significant part of its secrets and hypotheses, but still there is an opinion that many secrets are hidden in this area of our neighbor. For example, why did the Apollo manned expeditions end abruptly? A number of researchers hold a unanimous opinion. The reason for this was one thing: extraterrestrials, aliens, do not want to see humanity on the moon. They do not care that we consider the satellite to be ours. They know whose it is and are ready to defend their rights. The hypothesis of ufologists about the moon. Ufology is generally very anxious about everything extraterrestrial, and even more so to the moon. There are a lot of anomalous phenomena visible through the telescope. A long-standing UFO hunter theory warns, on the far side of the moon is the oldest alien observer base. It's possible that this is not even one base, but a huge laboratory complex has been deployed to study all aspects of human life. It's assumed that they, the aliens, come from some other star system. It is logical to assume that for long-term observations and regular visits to the Earth, they need to have a working base in our system. Naturally, considering this plane of issue, the invisible side of the moon will be the best place for setting up such a secret outpost, a place where you can not only rest after a flight from another galaxy, but also the closest base to the moon. In support of this theory hypothesis, the authors of numerous publications on the economy of aliens on the moon cite the statement of William Cooper, a former high-ranking U.S. intelligence officer. In 1989, Cooper allegedly under oath, the case took place at a special meeting of the UN Committee on Space Exploration, and that the American government knew about alien craft appearing near Earth, as well as aware of alien lunar complexes. Alien base on the far side of the moon. Some videos, allegedly filmed by the crews of the Apollo missions, show details of the alien base. There are huge quarry vehicles. Nearby there is a large alien ship, most likely transporting the mined material. And in the center of the crater, where all this action is taking place, gigantic towers rising. Of course, this is all extremely suspicious information. For example, the Apollo 8 expedition and the Luna 3 spacecraft, they did not see any bases on the moon. At least this is unknown. Although we can what can be seen on the moon from orbit. Now, by the way, the story of William or Bill Cooper is shrouded in detective mystery. Having retired since the 1990s, he described cases of an alien presence, about the secret government, about UFOs, about the U.S. treaty with the alien race. Many talked about falsification and other speculations on the loose topic. However, there is one but. In 2001, Cooper, in the sheriff's office in Arizona, they say that that's where he died. The reason was allegedly tax evasion. It's believed that Cooper first started the conflict. Maybe it was not by chance. We don't know. Virtual researchers point to the existence of large alien structures on the far side of the moon. It sounds strange, but it really is to the researchers, and we get solid evidence from this from NASA satellites. In 1994, the American mission sent a Clementine satellite to the moon to obtain detailed photographs of the object under study. However, earlier in the early 1970s, abruptly ending the Apollo program before completion, NASA clearly announced, "The moon has been studied well enough and is no longer of interest." Can you believe that? There is no point in spending taxpayer money on the study of the moon. Here it's necessary to build bases, move on along the path of mastering our system and studying deep space. But nevertheless, the moon continued to be studied no less closely, but already remotely with the help of satellites. The Clementine mission made 1.8 million images during its work, but only 170,000 images were made publicly available, according to foreign researchers. And the available ones are not in the quality that was expected. What happened to the rest of the pictures? The rest were classified. But why did both American and Soviet scientists abandon manned flights to the moon? Moreover, they refused almost at the same time, as if coordinating their actions. Did someone, let's say the owners of alien bases, really gave us a negative signal from the gate? There are no working accomplices of aliens there. The researchers voice a rare version. Nobody is mining helium-3, as many assume. In one of their visits to the moon, quote-unquote, America discovered and destroyed remains of ancient structures in a cemetery of alien beings. Some claim, evaluating the state of the remains of the building, scientists came to the conclusion about an intentional explosion. Reflecting on the destruction, the graveyard and warning signs, scientists conclude that an unknown epidemic killed the ancient aliens, which even those more advanced than our knowledge could not overcome. Having correctly interpreted all these signs, people decided to get off the moon, but still continued to conduct a remote study of our satellite. Paranormal explorers, astral travelers, the confirmation of the base of an extraterrestrial race on the far side of the moon as a result, proof of the existence of aliens, is supported by Ingo Swann, a psychic and a person who knows how to live in the astral field of the earth. He is an astral life specialist, travels to other worlds with the help of thought in a special state of his physical body. Ingo Swann allegedly worked for the American government and participated in the creation of the Psychic Observation Program in the 1970s. The discovery of 1973 can be cited as an example of his amazing abilities. Then, making an astral trip to the planet Jupiter, Swan confidently stated that the rings of Jupiter represent a gas and dust formation, and this was confirmed 6 years later by Voyager 1 in 1979. In one of the astral journeys to the moon, Swan examined the dark side of the satellite, came across buildings of extraterrestrial origin, from what he claimed, and while in his astral body the traveler saw high towers in the depths of the crater, from the tip of which came powerful illumination of the crater. As the remote researcher spoke about his experience, he was stunned by the realization of the importance and improbability of the fact that a certain civilization had built some kind of structures on the moon. And moreover, building on his success, Swan mentally headed deep into the alien structure, where he discovered two humanoids, the inhabitants of the lunar base. He also realized that the aliens felt his presence, after which the visit was interrupted and he himself was thrown from the moon in the sense of his astral spirit. Return to the moon. Most, and maybe all, of these stories about the secret bases of aliens on the far side of the moon are fiction, or horror stories around the campfire. The experience of traveling in the astral body is also unprovable, so that its results are treated with great confidence. None of these stories about the moon have been confirmed. We cannot find confirmation or refutation until a person returns to the surface of the moon again, but something goes wrong with the exploration of the moon. The moon lies in the average distance of 384,000 kilometers from the Earth, and the flights take less than a week. This is practically a neighboring region. Lunar laboratories and telescopes have huge prospects, a gigantic scale of space exploration, and the lunar spaceport. This is a start from the planet whose gravity is 6 times less than that of our Earth. The resources of the planet also go to the same piggy bank for the exploration of the moon. Now, the plans for the development of the moon and the creation on its surface of the village of Earthling settlements have been discussed more than once. So in the spring of 2006, NASA announced the development of a manned expedition to the satellite. The program provided for the landing of 4 astronauts on the far side of the moon. They will collect samples, study, and search for a place for lunar bases, but the program was then postponed until 2015, then for another year, and this is just one example of the postponed development programs of our closest neighbor, our moon. Curiously, what can be found on the moon? The buildings of extraterrestrial race, spaceships of an extraterrestrial alien civilization, proof that ancient astronauts visited Earth. Returning to the moon is not a guarantee of these issues being solved. Even without finding an alien base on the moon, fans of such conspiracy theories will always be able to justify this with the silence of the government, which wants to protect the public from the realization of terrible facts that aliens exist. Isn't it true that many interested in this issue will not be able to stay on the moon, and at the same time, some skeptics suspect that we will not be back to the moon anytime soon, if at all? This is on Soul Ask. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.